Alright, let us now use the knowledge from the previous video to now take a look at specific unit cells with specific elements, and let's count how many elements are present in it, and ultimately let's use that information to find molecular formulas. Alright, so looking back at the example that we did before, we already determined that there was one center atom, 6 face atoms, 8 corner atoms, and 12 interstitial atoms in this entire unit cell. Alright, now notice what I've done right here. I am separating the atoms by color. So I made some of them the same color, and then I made the other half, roughly speaking, a different color. And what we see right here is that all the green atoms in here, which are interstitial sites as well as the center atom, those are my green atoms, and they represent 1 and 3 atoms altogether. So we have 4 green atoms altogether in this cell. And then the pink atoms, which are the corner atoms, 8 of them, accounting for only 1 atom altogether. And then the face atoms, which are 6 of, multiplied by 1/2, so 3 atoms. This tells us that we have 4 green atoms and 4 pink atoms in this structure. And the other thing that I would like to make you aware of, at least in this drawing, is that you kind of have this alternation of going as you go from one point to another, pink to green, to pink to green, to pink to green, to pink to green. So you basically just have that order. And the reason why that's going to be important is because we're going to apply this to molecules that are actually ionic, right? So some of them will be positively charged, meaning you have cations, and some of them will be negatively charged, which will be your anions. And what you want to see is that the cation is next to the anion, and that the anion is next to the cation. So this alternation of where the atoms are present is actually kind of a requirement for ionic structures. And in the case of sodium chloride, the structure shown here is in fact the structure of sodium chloride, sometimes also referred to as the rock salt structure. Namely speaking, you have 4 sodiums and 4 chlorides in this structure. So if you were to write the structure, the molecular formula based on the unit cell count, you will write 4 sodiums and 4 chlorines. But you always want to go with the lowest ratio, which means that the molecular formula of sodium chloride is none other than NaCl. And this is kind of the beauty of counting the atoms. You basically get the structure directly from them. Alright, now similar story. If we look at a different compound, one that contains cesium and chloride, we have a body-center structure. And here, the cesium, which is the green atom, is at the center, so it counts entirely as part of the unit cell. The chloride atoms, however, are present in the corners, and I'm missing 1 right here, so technically there should be 8. So the chloride atoms are in the corner of the cube, and there should be 8 of them, giving you a count of 1 cesium and 1 chloride. So ultimately, you have 1 cesium plus and 1 chloride minus, and once again they are alternating, right? Green goes to pink, pink goes to green. What you basically see here is that you have 1 cesium plus and 1 chloride minus combined together to give you the formula of cesium chloride. Okay, now this was on the easy side a little bit. Let's take a look at one that's a little bit tougher, the zinc blende structure. Alright, so what we see here is that we have zinc ions and sulfide ions. And if we look at the graph, we notice that we have 8 corner atoms, which are sulfides, and we have face atoms. We have 6 of them, which are also sulfide atoms. So we have face and corner atoms belonging to sulfur, and then we have these ones that are not exactly the center of the main unit cell, but they are inside the unit cell. You could think of it this way. If you look at the subsection cubes here, the smaller cubes, the green zinc ion is actually in the middle of the tiny little cube here on the upper left front cube, and down and up to the side here. If we go up to the right and to the back, we have another zinc ion that's in the middle of the inner cube, and you have a total of 4 of those ions present. So there's 4 zincs that fully count as part of this unit cell, since they're all inside of the unit cell itself. And then you have 6 face atoms and 8 corner atoms for the sulfides, which tell you that you have 3 and 1 or 4 sulfide ions as well as 4 zinc ions. So with this information, you can write initially a formula for zinc sulfide as being zinc 4 and S4, which then you bring down to the lowest ratio, which means that the actual true ionic formula of zinc blend is zinc 1 and sulfide 1. Alright, so as you can see, this is a really neat way of coming up with those structures, and this is ultimately how they were determined experimentally once X-ray crystallography became a technique of use, which we're talking about roughly the 50s. Alright, so here's another one. This is called the fluorite structure. It contains calcium and fluoride. And what you can see here now is that the fluorides are inside the main cube, and they kind of form their own inner cube themselves, as you can see here. But technically speaking, each fluoride is in the middle of each of the inner cubes of the main unit cell. The calciums are actually occupying the corners. Okay, so we have 8 calciums in the corners. We have 6 facial calciums as well. And as far as the center atoms, the ones that are fully inside the unit cell, we actually have 8, which correspond to fluoride. So we have 8 fluorides present, 8 corner atoms, 6 face atoms. We have a total of 8 fluorines or fluorides present in here. We have 1 and 3 for the calcium ions. In total, we have 4 calciums, but we have 8 fluorides. So the initial structure that you would write or formula would be calcium 4F8, which if you bring down to the lowest ratio will give you a formula of calcium F2, which is the true formula of calcium fluoride. Alright, so let's stop this video right here, and in the next one I'm going to show you the calculations for the bond length because they're a little bit involved. Okay, so see you in the next video.